Welcome to Lead with Clarity. This is a space for leaders who want to grow without losing themselves in the process. Each episode is a short reflection on leadership, influence, and the inner work that shapes how we show up for others. It's not hype, not noise, just clear thinking for the journey of leading well. Today's episode is entitled The Obligation of Power: What Toni Morrison Got Right About Leadership. Here we go. There's a conversation that happens in almost every leadership engagement I run. At some point, a senior leader will say something like, "I worked hard to get here. I earned this." And they're right. They did. But that framing, earned, deserved, protected, misses something critical. It treats power as a finish line. Today, I want to challenge that framing. Toni Morrison said it plainly. If you have some power, then your job is to empower somebody else. Those words redefine the entire contract of leadership. She was not speaking in the abstract. Morrison spent her life watching what power did to people and to institutions. She understood that power has a gravitational pull. It pulls toward consolidation, toward self-protection, toward the illusion that keeping it is the same as using it well. Think about the leaders who shaped you most, not the ones with the biggest titles, the ones who changed your trajectory. I would bet most of them had one thing in common. They used what they had on your behalf. They vouched for you before you could vouch for yourself. They gave you a room you had no business being in yet. They took a risk on your potential when it was still unrealized. That is power in motion. That is power functioning as it should. Here's where most people get this wrong. They hear empower somebody else and they think it means mentorship, coffee chats, advice, sharing lessons learned over lunch. That's not empowerment. That is information transfer. Empowerment requires you to actually give something up, a platform, a decision, a public endorsement that costs you some social capital, a promotion you could have justified keeping on your own team. Sponsorship, not mentorship. Those are not the same thing. The leaders I've coached who struggled most with this shared a common belief. They believed that giving power away meant losing it, that elevating someone else would somehow diminish their own position. The opposite is consistently true. The leaders with the largest real influence are almost never the ones who hoarded it. They're the ones who created ecosystems around them. People who were loyal, capable, and motivated because they had been genuinely invested in. Power that circulates multiplies. Power that stagnates decays. The math is not complicated. The execution requires character. Before you close this episode out, I want you to sit with one question. It's the same question I put in front of every executive I work with. Who in your organization is waiting for you to open a door that only you can open? Not who deserves a pat on the back, not who have you been meaning to mentor. Who is sitting right now at a ceiling that your one act, your one word, your one endorsement could lift? If the answer is someone, and it almost always is, that is not optional reading for later. That's your job, right now, with whatever power you currently hold. Morrison gave us something rare, not inspiration, obligation. She reframed power from a reward into a responsibility, and she did it without sentimentality. Real leaders do not ask how much power they can accumulate. They ask how much they can deploy. They measure their tenure not by the decisions they made alone, but by the leaders they made possible. Power passed forward is the only kind that lasts.